Hey there everybody, welcome back to Try New Things. Gonna take a serious note this time with this video, and normally I don't do that. Now a lot of the times you hear that silver and gold is the best hedge against inflation. And I'm thinking that's true to a degree, as long as it's physical gold and silver. But there may be a better one. There's no denying things are getting a little bit crazy here in the country and around the world for that matter. A lot of things going on. The biggest and most apparent, of course, is inflation. You know, your grocery bill is going up leaps and bounds. I know our eggs went up 400% here in the last couple of weeks. And everything I'm reading says that's going to continue, that inflation's going to continue, food costs are going to continue to rise. They're talking about global starvation. I read an article today, 3 weeks of wheat left in the world. Now that's awful hard to believe, isn't it? But yeah, lots of stories in the news. I mean, here in the US, there's been over 20 suspicious fires at food processing plants. Now there's two sides to every story. One side says that's a conspiracy, it's a planned famine in the United States. The other side says nothing to worry about, nothing to see here. There's 36,000 food processing plants in the United States. Now I'm sure they're counting every candy shop and biscuit place across the country, and I think there's a big difference between a major fire at a meat packing plant and whether or not a donut shop goes up in flames. But I'm no expert, so you decide for yourself on the suspicious fires there. Now there's certainly something we can't disagree on at this point. I think that's the baby formula shortage or crisis in the United States. You wouldn't think you would ever see such a thing, but apparently we've banned imports a while back of baby formula, and we closed down the biggest manufacturing plant. I think it's Abbott Laboratories or something, due to suspected contamination, which they never found. Again, I'm not an expert. You do your own research. It's just the timing seems to be weird there. Now you couple that with what else is in the news. H1N1, better known as bird flu, seems to be sweeping the nation once again. And again, coincidence on the timing? It certainly is a bad coincidence if it is. Because they're calling millions of chickens and turkeys all across the country, and I think that's a big reason why the eggs have gone up, and it's probably harder to find chicken in the grocery store. But, you know, one side says that's very suspicious. The other side says, trust us, we're using PCR tests to identify bird flu. So take that for what you will. But anyway, what I'm here for today is to talk to you a little bit about what's in our control. Everything's outside of our control for the most part, but there are some things that each one of us can do to prepare. Now, you're probably thinking, some of you I know have large parcels of property and farms, but others may be living in, you know, a duplex or an apartment, saying there's nothing I can do to hedge against inflation or starvation myself. And I want to challenge you to a degree. And really, the onus is upon us to do everything we can with what we've got. Now, of course, if you have a farm, you can grow large plots of crops, big diversity of food. Now, some of us live in residential areas. Now, at our house, there's no bylaw against having a garden. So we've had a little 16 by 20 garden for probably 15 years now. And it's actually growing pretty good this year already. So a lot of the vegetables are up. Can't wait to be picking my own cucumbers. But my wife and I, for quite a period of time, we spend more time growing things that we can eat than what we look at. So out front of the house, definitely there's some flowers. But to rattle off some of the other stuff, other than the garden, now out behind the garden, we've got some goji berries, some blackberries. On the side of the house, we've got kiwis, raspberries, rhubarb. Out front, we have a very well-producing, at least the last couple of years, pear tree, which has delicious pears. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And again, some of you are probably thinking, well, I don't have the space for all of that stuff. Well, let me show you what we've got in pots. So let's say all you've got is a little porch, a little patio, a balcony. What can I do? And you know, it's not like you can grow beef, but what you can grow can offset your grocery bill, so it'll help pay for the things you want and need. So even though you can't grow a steak, if you grow peppers, tomatoes, onions on your deck, the money you'll save from not having to buy those at the grocery store can go towards the inflated prices that you're seeing on other items like meat and eggs, etc. Also, bread seems to be something that we should worry about. So if you can stock up on some flour and some yeast and some sugar and some salt and some baking powder and get yourself a bread maker, that may be a good idea as well. And you can make bread at home. They used to do it all the time. My favorite memories are of my grandmother's fresh baked rolls. The smell of those rolls when they come hot out of the oven. You put a little butter on there with some wax paper. Delicious. But here at the house, here's some things that we're growing in pots that may be good ideas for you. So here you'll see we've got some strawberries, we've got some more strawberries, we've got blueberry plants. Kim and Madison are growing garlic this year, which we don't know how that's going to turn out. Well, other things that do really well in pots would be a little herb garden. If you have the space and you can take it one step further, maybe a raised bed planter like these ones here. So in this one we've got lettuce and carrots growing. And here in this other one, we've got some green onions is what we normally grow in this one. They don't take up a ton of space and they produce a lot of great vegetables. One more thing I think I'll show you, which is kind of interesting, and it may not be for everybody, and I don't know exactly how much they cost. My wife tells me she got a wicked sale at Walmart on these. But we're growing herbs and tomatoes inside the house with these growing units. So you just plug them in on the counter and you can grow your own herbs, your own vegetables. Granted, it's small scale, but if it's all the room you have, maybe it's an option for you. Now out here at the farm, kind of like the house, we do have some things growing in pots. Here you'll see the strawberries we planted in the window planter instead of flowers. And in the other one we planted onions, yellow onions. Out back, we've got a couple boxes of strawberries again, some blueberry plants that I just planted. Planted a couple grapes. There's green grapes and Concord grapes. I've got about 60 raspberry and blackberry bushes planted on the property. Now this is their second year. Last year they didn't produce very well, but this year they're looking a lot better and they've got a better start. So I'm hopeful we'll get more than a couple cups of berries this year. We were also very fortunate on this property when we purchased it that there's a couple very mature pear trees, a couple peach trees, and a cherry tree. Now last year we had so many pears I couldn't give them away. We did discover though that dehydrated pear slices are like candy. They're delicious. You should try it if you have a pear tree. Now also last year we planted about 6 new pear trees, 6 new peach trees, 6 plum trees, a nectarine tree. Tried growing a couple figs, they didn't turn out. So this year we replaced those with jujube trees. No idea what a jujube is, but we just planted those and they're starting to take off. We also planted some more kiwi here. We have kiwi at the house, but planted Arctic kiwi here at the farm as well. My wife Kim loves the Arctic kiwis. When we have a bumper crop, she has a bumper feast. So hopefully it's a good year for kiwis this year as well. We do have a few sugar maples on the property, so we've been making a little bit of maple syrup. It's hard to make a whole lot with 3 mature maples. But we also thinking about the future. Now, long ways in the future, but we planted some more sugar maples as well. Now, one other thing that we did this year, partly due to everything that's going on with inflation, is planted a small field of dent corn. So my intent there with the dent corn is to make my own cornmeal and corn flour and see how that turns out this year. Absolute big fan of cornbread. So even if this whole inflation thing is over with this fall, be happy to continue to eat all the cornbread. But again, thank you guys for checking out this video. And all I really wanted to do is encourage each and every one of you to do what you can with what you got for yourself. And I think growing your own food as much as you can, no matter what limitations you have on space, at the end of the day, is going to be a good hedge against inflation. So again, you can't grow everything you're going to want to need, but what you do grow is going to offset your grocery bill to help you afford what you really want and need later on. If you do have the space, I encourage you to go with vegetables in the short term. Fruit trees, they're not going to produce the first year. Same with the berries we planted and the grapes. Those are multi-year plants, but also it's not too late to start thinking about the further future than this year. But go ahead, plant yourself some vegetables, plant some green peppers, some bell peppers, some jalapeno peppers, some tomatoes, some onions, a little herb garden on your balcony, or even in your dining room if you can. Whatever you can do for you, I encourage you to do it. And hopefully everything gets better, and this is as worse as it's going to get, and we can laugh on the other side. But anyway, I thought I would take the time to do something a little bit more serious, kind of a public service announcement, so to speak. And again, I thank you for joining me and putting up with this little discussion here. But I worry about you all, and want to make sure that you do everything you can to look after yourselves. So again, if you have any questions or comments, as always, leave them below. I love to read them. If you have yet to hit subscribe, why not? It's free, money back guarantee. And until next time in the next video, bye-bye.